2010 through 2019 has been such a good year if you're a gamer. Not all games were the best, but a good amount were really amazing. That's why today I'm going to count down my top 7 best games of this decade. Let's get started. Kicking off this list is Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is one of my favorite Mario titles ever. So, the story is that Mario teams up with a cat named Cappy. He and Mario go on a big quest through tons of kingdoms to get back Peach. The plot is not anything special, but that's what you'd expect from a Mario game, so I'm fine with it. The creativity in this one seems like it was cranked all the way to the max, even more so than most other Marios that I've played. The controls are at peak perfection, and I honestly can't imagine how they can make them any better in future installments in the franchise. The level design is great, and I had a ton of fun with the boss fights in this one. While I do think the graphics are really great and pretty realistic, I feel like sometimes they're a little too colorful, even for a Mario game. It hurts my head if I look at it for too long in some kingdoms, like the Cascade Kingdom, but that's really my only major downside with the game. The rest of it is awesome. Number 6 is Luigi's Mansion 3. Like the last one, Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of my favorite Mario games. I've always thought that the ghost sucking up idea is absolutely genius, and it's really fun to fight these baddies. So, the story is that Mario and his friends get invited into a hotel to stay at, but it turns out that there are ghosts lurking around every corner here, and before you know it, you're on a mission with Dr. Eli Guy. One of the best parts about this game is all of its puzzles that you have to solve. I found myself scratching my head about what the answer is to some of them, and that makes it all the more satisfying to solve. In this game, the graphics are absolutely a joy to look at because of how detailed they look. My only downside with the game is how overpowered the mechanic where you smack the ghost on the ground is, because it really does make the ghost fights pretty easy. But aside from that, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a blast to play. I know what you're gonna say, but Eli Guy, Minecraft came out all the way back in 2009, so it wasn't a game that came out this decade. Well, you know what? It may have came out all the way back then, but recently it became popular again, and it still is. So I think I'm gonna qualify it for this list. I'll keep this short though, since, well, obviously I think at least 3/4 of the world has at least heard of this game. So, obviously, Minecraft is a game where you can mine blocks, store them in your inventory, and build mind-blowing things. What I love about it is just how many options you have and how much there is to do. All these possibilities can lead to some pretty insane builds. I actually don't have any problems with this game, and that's the reason countless people still play hours upon hours of Minecraft to this day, and that's why it's number 5 on this list. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is for sure the best game that came out on the Wii, because it really is something special. What makes the Galaxy game so great is how epic and intense vibes it gives off. Every aspect of it makes the stakes feel so high, like you actually could die, and it really gets the adrenaline rushing. The controls are also extremely exact and precise, so it feels very fluid when Mario moves. And don't even get me started on the music. What's so great about it is how epic it is, and so different from other Mario songs it is. I definitely feel like orchestrating the music was a good move on the developer's part. All in all, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a masterpiece that deserves all the praise it gets and definitely deserves number 4 on this list. By the way, the reason I didn't put Mario Galaxy 1 on here is because it came out last decade and 2 didn't. Plus, I'm more of a Galaxy 2 guy myself, so that works out well. I have a confession. I used to not really like old cartoons that much. I thought that they were just too cartoony, and that made it seem pretty cheesy and sometimes even downright dumb. But when I started playing Cuphead, I really liked it. And guess what? I think I'm starting to like those old cartoons now. Obviously, Cuphead's greatest thing is its 30s aesthetic. At first I thought it was just the art style that was like those cartoons, but when I bought the game and played it, I realized that they really go out with the 30s cartoon theme. Everything from the visuals to the music to the bad sound quality makes it really truly feel like you're playing in an old-timey Mickey Mouse cartoons. The controls are buttery smooth, and whenever you die, it feels like it's your fault and not the game's. And speaking of dying, did I mention that it's gonna happen a lot? I'm not joking, this game is wickedly hard. Most of the difficulty comes from the bosses, which the game has a lot of. I don't care who you are, but I think Cuphead is an indie masterpiece of a game. Believe it or not, but I actually haven't been a Smash fan for that long. My Smash Bros. Fan journey only started about a year ago. But when I got a Switch, I immediately knew I had to get Ultimate, and I don't regret buying it at all, as it's amazing. What makes this Smash game so good is how many characters and stages there are. Smash Bros. Ultimate has over 70 characters in total and over 100 stages, which is more than any other Smash game. Super Smash Bros. Is a very lovingly crafted fighting game that is very different from most others, mainly because instead of trying to make the other person's health go down to 0 if you're not playing in stamina mode, you have to make it go up in order to knock them off the stage and get KO'd. Contrary to what most people say, the online mode isn't that bad. Usually the battle I get myself into is still playable. Unfortunately, the game actually does have a downside, and that's the World of Light. I didn't really find a lot of enjoyment in Ultimate Story Mode, mainly because it's really just spirit battle after spirit battle. And if I really wanted to do battles over and over again, I would just do normal Smash battles. This is a really big downside, but the rest of the game makes up for it, and that's why Smash Bros. Ultimate is number 2 on this list. However, nothing can compare to what's next. And now, the number 1 game of this decade is Undertale. Man, where do I even begin? Well, sadly I didn't really get into Undertale in the height of its popularity. I played it about 4 years late, and man oh man do I wish I'd gotten into it sooner. This game is a masterpiece. One of its best things is its story. It's not that complicated, like, at all, and that's probably the reason I like it so much. It has deep lore, but a simplistic storyline, and that's what I feel like every story should try to do. The combat system in this game is very creative, with bullet dodging segments sprinkled in evenly throughout the battle that can be quite challenging, but when you make it through them without getting hit, it's really satisfying. The graphics I like because, well, I just love anything pixel art. And did I mention it's funny? Cause it is. This game is cram-packed with jokes, and it starts giving you the chuckles at the very start. It has all sorts of fourth wall breaks and never takes itself too seriously. And, well, that's pretty much all. Undertale definitely deserves number 1 game of this decade, and I'm really excited to forget all about it and then re-experience it all 10 years later. And that's all. Be sure to tell me down below what your favorite game of this decade was, and I'll see you in 2020. Goodbye.